hello everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and I'm coming to you from Puerto Rico. First, please do tell me if you can actually hear me properly, because you wouldn't believe what I had to do to set this show up. I was out in the other room, in the living room. It was all really nice. I had it perfectly done. And then the rain started and hitting the metal roof, and then the people started partying nearby, and, and the refrigerator turned on. And so it was such a cacophony, I think is the word. Yes. So then I moved to the my bedroom here, and everything's on pillows. So I have a chair with pillows to put the laptop on, and I have my microphone on, two more pillows. So it's a mess. So tell me if you can see and hear me clearly. You can? Oh, fantastic. Okay. All right. Well, at least that's settled, at least for now, until if I move my knee and then everything falls off, then the show is over. And you see this? Watch this, guys. See that? I'm hitting the pillows on the stool I'm setting this on. So yeah, it's fine. Okay, wait a minute before I get started. Yes, it is. It's not so easy setting up a show here in Puerto Rico and an Airbnb. But this is the premium lager of Puerto Rico. I'm not selling it. I'm not advertising it, but I am drinking it. So, one little more. Okay. Well, no. Hey, no. These are not the same Pat Tech issues. This is a whole new ball game here. But I'm making it work. At least I hope I am, until I push my knee and everything just falls. So anyway, I'm glad you're all here. Let me see who's in the chat room. And if you're new to this and you say, "What in the heck is she doing?" Yes, normally I do this from my own home, and this is Puerto Rico and an Airbnb that I'm in. So it's a test to see whether I can travel or live someplace else for a month or two in the winter and still do my show and not have it be a total disaster. So this is test number 1. But if you would like to come and be at any of the live shows, whether it be a hangout like today, look at this. Something's all, oh, the heck. Oh, I can't even do it. Sorry, I already made a mistake. I'm so confused. Okay. If you'd like to be here, you do join Patreon. The link is below. $5 a month. You can come to all the live shows. There's a hangout every week. There's a case every week. And this week's case will be a Puerto Rican case, a famous one. I will not be doing it on Sunday because I will be attending the San Sebastian. It's a festival. And so I'm going to have fun on Sunday and Saturday. So I'm going to do it on Monday evening. So that's when the case for this week is going to happen. Usually it is on a Sunday, rarely on a Saturday or a Friday night. But I do 4 case shows a month, 4 hangouts a month, and you never know what else. And you can always join in here with the chats. Join Patreon. If you don't want to do that, please do just support the channel by subscribing, hit the like button, hit the bell so you get notifications, and share with people. Oh, look at that. There's what in the world? Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. I made it. You see the picture? Where is the picture? Yeah, over here. The picture is turning into something really strange because I hit a setting button. Oh my goodness! And hold on a second. I got to fix the setting button. I actually hit. There we go. All right, the picture's back to normal. And hi, Molly. You're fog and rain in Ohio. How thrilling. Okay, let me say hello to everybody, and then I'm going to get to the news of the day. Christine says, "Oh, you're jealous." Well, good. I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. Because you're in Minneapolis and it is freezing there. I've seen your pictures, Christine. It's cold. So yeah, I'm really happy not to be there at the moment in Minnesota or in Maryland, although Maryland isn't as bad. I'm kind of happy to be here and here. Oh, that's my pina colada. And here and here and here. Oh, maybe here. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm being mean, but I needed a break. So I'm really enjoying myself here. Okay. Who else is in here? Michaela is in here. Anne is here. And Angela says Oregon coast, the rains. But we're getting rains here. You know how that is. In Puerto Rico, the rain goes for 20 minutes. In Oregon, I think it's 20 days, something like that. I'd already said hello to Molly, and I'm repeating myself. Hold on. Chris Carrie is here. I'm going down the list now. Allison is here. Sandra is here, and you can hear me. That's great. Pam is here. Erica is here. I may have missed you, and if you're coming in now, I will miss you. But let's get to the news. All right. So what's been happening outside of Puerto Rico? Quite a few things. And the first thing I wanted to talk about, because I've been asked to talk about this, is somebody asked me what was the difference between the probable cause affidavit and in the Delphi case and the probable cause affidavit in the Idaho case. And there is a huge difference. There really is a huge difference. I haven't been speaking much about the Idaho case because I don't like to jump on board with every day. There's something new. We're going to talk about the creepy dude, and I don't want to do it. But I do want to talk about the biggest differences and why one case is going to be a whole lot easier than the other case. And in the Delphi case, it was a very thin probable cause affidavit, very thin. And the defense has been jumping all over that. Now there's been a gag order, so he can't jump so much. But he has now made requests. The defense has made requests of all kinds of information because they want to be able to poke holes in it. And what does the prosecution have? That's what everybody's question is. So the probable cause affidavit was basically about an unspent round that was found on the ground that the prosecution says matches, police say match to the suspect's gun that he has in his possession, and to the ammunition. So it's a kind of ammunition which the first thing you have to know is that when you have an unspent round, you've got something here you can look at, the casing and all that. Then what you do is you say, what is this stuff? What box does it match to? What kind of ammo is this? What brand is this? If that exact brand is in his house, still sitting there, and if it's clear that there's some of those are missing from his box, you got something there, okay? Then they said they ran it through his gun, and it had similar tool mark patterns. Now, this isn't the same thing as actually shooting it. So they're very minor scratches. And the defense is going to tear this up. I know they're going to say, such tiny scratches. You really, it's going to be some expert that you paid to say these scratches look like those scratches. When they're going to say, you could have those scratches come from any one of those guns that are just like that. It's weak. But if you add it to other stuff, it helps. Let's put it that way. It helps. Now, we already know that there is a confession that the suspect has said he was near that bridge at the time the girls went missing. He was near there. And there was a person who cited a person like him walking down the street, muddied after the fact, after the girls would have been killed. So at least you got the guy there, okay? You got the guy there, and if that unspent round matches his gun, matches his ammo, that's sort of good. But they will need more than that. I can tell you that. They're going to need more than that. I don't know what they were digging up in the backyard. Some people think it's, his dead cat, and the cat would have hair that was found at the scene that would be matching DNA. That would be good. Something they're going to have, I believe, something more. Not that I think they got the right guy. It's not that I don't believe they have the right guy. I think they do. The problem is when you get to a court of law, you have to have reasonable evidence. And if it's a little on the thin side, the defense can tear it up. And then that jury is going to go, I think he did it, but there's reasonable doubt. So that's that. That's the Delphi probable cause affidavit. In the Idaho probable cause affidavit, woo, do we have a suspect that majorly screwed up? I mean, he really screwed up terribly. By the way, I'm not saying their names today just because I feel like not putting a focus on their names and their faces. So I'm not even putting the pictures up. So what we have is a guy whose cell phone has been connected to the area over and over and over and over again. We have a guy who left the knife, what do you call it? The sheath thing that the knife was in. He dropped that and his DNA was on that. There's a theory he went back to try to get it. So we have that. There is, and then there's the car, which he owned, the kind of car. So they can just stack that evidence up, especially if he's got DNA at the scene. I mean, that just locks it in. So I would say we're talking about with Delphi down here, and we're talking Idaho up here. Now, by the time trial comes, Delphi may be up here. They may be withholding a whole lot of information. They may. And so when the actual trial comes and people can have some patience, can they prove their case in court? Do they have a lot of hidden stuff that they're going to bring forth? And then the jury will go, well, yeah, that is the guy. I don't know. I hope, because I think they have the right guy. I think it's a one-person crime. I think it's a serial killer crime. And I think they got the right guy in Delphi. Over in Idaho, I also think they got the right guy. I do not think it's a serial killer crime. I think this is this guy's huge day in the sun. Oh, and I just want to read you something somebody wrote to me in a comment. And I just really like this comment. So I said, I'm going to quote you. I'm going to quote you. Her name is Jennifer. She's Jennifer Johnston. She just put this up 2 hours ago. Bryan entered that house as a nobody and left as what every woman fears most. How powerful he must have felt. You may not like me. And I'm going to add this in. You may not want to date me. As a matter of fact, you refuse to date me. All of you girls refuse to date me. But you should definitely fear me. I wonder if he enjoyed playing God. And the answer to that is absolutely. I do not believe he's a serial killer. I believe he built up this huge moment, which is like a mass murderer, where he wanted to commit a horrendous crime against very beloved members of the community, very attractive members of the community, young members of the community, so horrifying that people can't get it out of their minds. He wanted that because it gives him infamy. And I usually do not talk about mass murderers. And the only reason I talk about this was because he's not technically, at this point, considered a mass murderer. He's, in my opinion, an incel, small mass murder. But I do not believe he's a serial killer. So I do believe he leans toward mass murder. I believe this is his big day in the sun. I don't know that he would ever commit another crime if he'd gotten away with this. I think he'd gone on to writing mystery stories or something. And putting in, I understand how it feels to commit these crimes. But yeah, so, but he did, I have to say this. If he was selecting this particular group of young people, he did a good job as far as picking victims. And I hate to, there's a truth in this, and I hate to say there's a truth in this, but the more attractive people are, the more people feel badly. It's absolutely true. The more cute they are, the more successful they are. And for me, for example, what always sticks in my head in this particular crime is Kaylee playing with a dog. She holds a little dog and she's like, that sticks in my head. It sticks in my head that these kids had all their lives ahead of them and they're all really doing well. Happy, happy, happy. And you just can't imagine how it must have been that they were there having had a great evening at the college. They're just getting ready for bed, getting ready for the next day, and then this creature appears, and this moment of minutes of hell go down, where all those four knew they probably weren't going to see the light of day. It's impossible to stomach and imagine, and all of that, and that's exactly what he wanted. All I have to say is he succeeded. People say, well, he got caught. I'm going to say he still succeeded. And that's the shame with a lot of mass murder type things. They don't care a lot of times that they get caught because they want that moment. And if they enact that moment, they win. That's just extremely sad. Oh, let me see if I can see some of your comments on this. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not going to, some things I won't put on the screen because if you're guessing stuff, I won't put it up here because we don't know that these things are true. And if we don't know they're true, that if they didn't come from the police, I don't put up that stuff until we know it's true. Okay. McKenna says the totality of evidence. Yes, absolutely. This is something that everybody, see the thing shaking here? I'm trying to click on it. It's on the pillows. The totality of evidence is the most important thing of all, because alone something may not be enough to prove this occurred or this person is guilty. But when you add stuff up, that's when you say, okay, wait a minute here. Let's just say somebody, for example, somebody's suspicious that their spouse is cheating on them. Okay. So the suspicion is number one. Oh, let's say it's a woman thinks her husband's cheating. He suddenly went on a diet and he's starting to buy better clothes. All right. That is sometimes a sign that this guy's cheating because he suddenly wants to look better for someone, and it's probably not the spouse, right? And then she says, okay, and then I was concerned because he was doing a lot of late nights at the office. Okay. Number two, suddenly he's not interested in sex that much at home. Number three, okay, what else? He's secretive. He starts hiding his phone. Number four. So this is, you start adding things up, and then, I looked in his pocket of his coat and I found condoms. Oh, we weren't going to have any more children on here. Okay. So, that one really nails it, So the totality of the evidence is what you have to take to court to try to prove to hopefully a jury that gets it, that it's not just this one thing. It's these many things. And I think in Delphi, unless they have a lot more than we know, they really need to have, even if it's circumstantial, a lot more evidence. So you can say, oh, the totality of this, who else could it be? It has to be this guy. But we'll see. There is not an eyewitness in Idaho, and there's a girl who saw a guy in black and a ski mask and some bushy eyebrows. She saw a guy looking like a guy, and that's not going to hold him in court. I mean, that it might help with the time frame, might help with that, but other than that, it doesn't prove who it is. So that one's questionable. Angela says, totally agree. Profound statement. I know I'm scared of him. Yeah. When you think about it, when you think about anybody who commits a horrifying crime, fear, the boogeyman type of thing. You are afraid, and it makes us afraid to go out in public again. It makes us afraid to go, be alone at night. So not only does he win by terrifying the people at the scene that he kills, but he terrifies everybody else as well. He has that kind of effect on society, which is horrific, because then we become afraid of everyone. I mean, if you can't trust a PhD's, a criminology student who's, who can you trust type of thing, and it's terribly frightening, because when you realize that person looks fairly normal, and I know people are saying they're looking at his picture now going, oh, he looks like a killer. No, he really doesn't. If he smiled and he wouldn't. Now, mind you, you could be around him and think he's creepy. That's a different matter. But at that moment, until he attacks, you don't necessarily think he's a killer. You might think he's a weirdo. But for a person to go from that to being that monster that kills, that's hard for us to deal with. And then when we realize it is that kind of person that we wouldn't suspect, now, the Amazon guy pulls up to your house and you're like, is he a killer? You go on a date and you go, is he a killer? And like I pointed out in the other hangout, that one woman said, hey, are you a serial killer? Ha ha ha. And then he killed her. He was a serial killer. So there you go. That's an interesting one. Sandra says, they show blood running down the side of the house in the news, and I can't get that out of my mind. I remember that picture, and that was quite horrible to look at. Sandra says, single evidence is like a gun with a single bullet. It may do the job, but the more of it you have, the better chance of a hit. Well, that's an interesting way to put it, T-Cone. Yeah, I mean, That's why people unload the entire clip. The entire magazine, because you want to make sure you win. So the same thing is true for prosecution. Yes, you got something good, but you need maybe 8 more pieces to really send it home. So that is actually quite true. So that's just my comment on the probable cause affidavits. We have 2 suspects, one in Delphi. Again, I believe the police have the right man. I can't say they're guilty, but I believe they have good reason to have these 2 men as the suspects in these 2 crimes. But I do say Delphi is, let me see, where's my hands here? Delphi's down here right now, and Idaho's up here. But we just don't know, and I hope Delphi comes up with a lot more when we get to the crime. Get to the trial. I hope you find out in court that there's a lot more evidence that they have that is, because they may really know to them it's really the right guy, but they may be sweating it as far as making sure they have enough more than circumstantial evidence. It's really tricky. I love this. This is a good one. I'll read this one out, Michaela, because it's an old one but a funny one. A woman picks up a man hitchhiking, and he says, "Aren't you afraid I'm a serial killer?" She says, "Well, what are the odds of 2 serial killers being in the same car?" That's a great joke. I have to appreciate that one. Totally appreciate that one. All right, so that's my thoughts on that. Now, I want to talk about. Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out how to move my phone here. Okay. I want to talk about first. I'm going to talk about motive a little bit. Because people always ask about motive. Well, maybe I should go there first. Maybe I should go to motive. Motive is a tricky thing because when you get to a court, they always want to know what the motive is. And you don't have to have it to find a guy guilty. You don't need to know the motive. But they always say, but it helps because the jury wants to know. The jury wants to believe that the guy did it for some reason. And my problem with this always is the same thing. There's no way, truly, to get inside the mind of somebody. So we can guess what the motive is. He can tell us what the motive is, but he's probably a liar. So we don't know that is true. Where does that leave us? It leaves us with still, we're not sure. We're really not sure. And what I always point out that majority of the time, premeditated killers are psychopaths. Psychopaths, one of their traits is pathological lying and manipulation. So whatever they tell you, do you really know that is the truth? And they always have a reason for telling you something. But the question is what? All right, so I want to use a couple cases as an example of what I'm talking about. So first I'll go to, now again, I don't, generally speaking, like to speak about mass murderers. Especially don't do it on TV because that's a huge audience. And I'm a smaller audience here, and I'm an educational channel, so I'm a little more willing here. I want to talk about this guy. All right, this guy is the guy. Well, let me find my information about him. Okay, he's from Maine. Looks like a normal fella. All right, who is this guy? This is the guy. He's a teenager charged with attempted murder in New York in the New York City machete attack. So what happened was he attacked several NYPD officers on New Year's Eve. Okay, he attacked 3 New York City police officers with a machete on New Year's Eve. He's been charged with attempted murder. He's 19 years old. His name is Trevor Bickford. He's from Maine. They said they attacked 3 machete. Okay, we already said that. Okay, all 3 officers were taken to the hospital and are expected to recover. Luckily, he didn't really know how to use a machete very well. Thank God for that. Now, according to the NYPD, he allegedly, and I love how allegedly, when we all know he did, struck 2 of the officers in the head with the machete, lacerating one of their heads and breaking the other's skull. All 3 officers were taken to the hospital, expected to recover. They shot Bickford in the shoulder. He's also been treated and will recover. Now, why would Bickford, this kid, 19 years old, Why would he do this? And I find it fascinating because I already know people don't understand what he's doing. All right. Essentially, there's three possibilities here. First of all, attack police officers. Was he anti-police? Well, supposedly that's not the motive, even though he attacked police officers. Secondly, was it just a mass murder? Did he just want to get attention by attacking 3 police officers and he get in the newspapers? Is that what he wanted? But here's what they say the real reason was. All right. Let's see. What happened to it? Hold on a second. Hold on 1 minute. My thing disappeared. What is it? Oh, for goodness sakes. Really? It was here. It really was. Hold on a second. Okay, let me pull up another version of this. What did I just say his name was? Bickford. Bickford. Okay, so what they believe happened was this. All right, I've now found it. Okay, he is an alleged Islamic extremist. He asked his family to repent to Allah in a disturbing manifesto. So anyway, he penned a disturbing manifesto that urged his family to please repent to Allah and accept Islam. Apparently, let's see, I was worried about them, ending up in the correct place. But apparently for the last 3 months, he's been online and became radicalized. Oh, it says as recently as a month ago here. So he was on the FBI radar, which seems to never do any good, before he hopped an Amtrak train and went to New York and attacked people, attacked police officers. So he was supposedly radicalized. Now, okay, what does radicalization even mean? If you are a person who's interested in mass murder, you often will go to sites like Columbine or any school that's been attacked, anything that you think is awesome as far as a mass murder goes, the Las Vegas one, for example. You'll read up on all those sites. Have you become radicalized? I mean, are those sites making you into a mass murderer, or are you seeking out that information to inspire yourself and to get courage or justification, whatever the hell you think your problem is? As far as this kid goes, he's just found Islam. He didn't find peaceful Islam of any sort. He didn't go to his local mosque and say, hey, I want to study the Quran. He goes online and reads a bunch of crap. And now he's supposedly been radicalized. Is that really what happened? Or is he just looking for justifications to do crazy crap because he's psychopathic and he's had it with life and he's bummed? So he's like, I'm a loser, so I'm going to go do something. He goes online to look for something. This happens more than you can believe that it happens. And so a lot of times there is a case, I talked about it with the Fort. Shoot, somebody help me out here. The one in Texas, the Muslim guy who shot on the military base. I've forgotten the name of that one now. Somebody tell me. Fort whatever in Texas. And they said it was an Islamic attack. And I went forth on all the networks and I said it was not a terrorist attack. It was not terrorist. It was a mass murderer. Thank you. Well, thank you, Michaela and Allison. Thank you. Yes. Okay, so Fort Hood. So they said it was a terrorist attack. And I went on and said it wasn't. And I got a lot of flack off of that. Let me tell you, people really got angry with me. And I said, no, if you look at this guy's situation, he was in the military. He was in the U.S. military. He never had any big Islamic thing going on in his head more than that he was a Muslim. But what happened was he hit midlife crisis and he started failing dismally. He didn't get the job he wanted. He thought he got shafted by his military superiors. And he was pissed about that. And he did look up a few things before he committed his crime. But was that a terrorist attack or was it a mass murderer who was using Islam as an excuse? I'm going to be a terrorist now. So it gets really tricky when we look at motive. I can't prove it, but I believe Fort Hood is a mass murder, not a terrorist attack. I believe this kid in New York. Okay, so you spent a month looking at some silly sites, really, and then you said to your family, "Oh, repent and accept Allah, or you're doomed." And then he runs out and attacks a bunch of police, which I don't even understand how that. Well, okay, call it a terrorist attack, but I don't see it. I see it as a deranged kid, deranged mass murderer who's looking for some excuse for his crimes, a justification that he then feels like he's superior. So in the long run, a lot of times it doesn't really matter what the person's motive is. The only purpose that it serves is to know if there is an organization specifically behind that person. For example, there are terrorist attacks, and the reason you need to know they're terrorist attacks, even if the guy's just doing it as psychopaths who don't just want to commit crimes, you need to know the organization exists that sent them. If they were sent to commit the crime and there's a terrorist cell, then it's a terrorist attack, even if the guy's involved are just whack jobs. But if it's a lone person, it's not really a terrorist attack. Even if we look back to now I'm gonna think again. What's this? Oh darn it! I tell you, I have no memory for names. Oklahoma. Somebody give me the two guys. The two guys. I haven't went there and did a whole show on that. Or the one attacked the building. Somebody help me out here. Come on, guys. Somebody help me. Not the two guys in Boston. Thank you. There we go, McVeigh. Thank you, McVeigh. McVeigh. I'm going to do a show on McVeigh one of these days. Timothy McVeigh. That is correct. Thank you. It just went out of my head again. Okay, then I have some more. Yeah, somebody's going to say something about this night. It's just one bottle of beer. I'm not drunk. Come on. Okay, so McVeigh. Yes, Timothy McVeigh. I'm going to do a show on that because I actually did go out working with a Homeland Security group. I went out and did an anniversary of that crime. I went out and gave a talk. And one of the things I said was I did not see it as a terrorist attack either, because McVeigh was this big, huge loser. And he just read some book. He thought, this will be cool. Literally, that's what he did. He read this book. I'm going to do a whole show on it. And he wanted to do something that would be his day in the sun and that would make him infamous. He didn't. His ideology was like really weak. He didn't really have a good ideology. He was just a loser. So how was this a terrorist attack? I mean, it was a successful attack, mind you, sadly, a really big mass murder. But there was no real proof that his true motive behind all of this. So there was no terrorist cell he was working with to commit this crime. It didn't exist. So I think we want to be very careful about what we call terrorist attacks, what we call motive in things. And the other one I'm going to talk about, because this is another one where the motive became very questionable, and this was just a personal murder. Does everybody remember? This crime comes from so long ago. When I was asked to talk about this, and I thought, okay, what is it I want to say about this? And I thought it's the motive issue again. Let me find my basics on. Oh, for God's sakes, I tell you. Okay, hold on one second. I've lost my page again. Being on vacation is not easy to do your show. Okay. Wasn't he a white supremacist? No. Oh, you're talking about McVeigh? Not really. See, that's the thing. You can put a label on somebody, but it doesn't actually mean that's what they are. You have to look at his whole history and his craziness and how he ended up deciding to do what he did, because he was just totally like the Fort Hood shooter. He was very similar in that he crashed and burned. His whole life was a garbage dump at that point. And he decided to do something cool. So no, I don't even call him that. Okay, now you're saying it wasn't because he's gay. And why do you say that? I'm just curious why you're going to say that, because I'm trying to pull up his. I had this great article too, and now and it's gone missing. Okay, let's see if I can pull it back up. It was okay. So I'm just gonna. There's a really long. There it goes. I think this is it that went missing on me. Yeah. Okay. So Mathew Shepard. Okay. This is okay. So Laura is saying it was the drugs. Okay. Now let's go back and think about this. Okay. So we'll go back. This is Mathew Shepard. Okay. Let me just tell people the basics in case they're too young to know the story. Okay. So Mathew Shepard. I have to pull up Wikipedia because it's quicker. All right, let me pull up Mathew Shepard with Wikipedia. And then I want to tell you some of the most interesting details of this crime, which make you go, what was this crime about? Okay, Mathew Shepard was a gay American student at the University of Wyoming who was beaten, tortured, and left to die near Laramie on the night of October 6, 1998. All right, so the basic theory of the case was that the suspects were Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson. They were arrested shortly after the attack and charged with first-degree murder. Then the media coverage went nuts as to what role Shepard's sexual orientation played as a motive for the crime. And it did have a huge effect on American society, that a gay man who had been tortured, beaten, killed because he was gay. All right. The prosecutor argued that the murder of Shepard was premeditated and driven by greed. So essentially, the prosecutor actually didn't say it was because he was gay. He said greed. McKinney's defense counsel countered by arguing that he had intended only to rob Shepard, but killed him in a rage when Shepard made a sexual advance toward him. Now, mind you, I've talked about this statement over and over again, that if a guy kills another guy and he needs a good excuse, he can say, I'm straight, the guy's gay, and he made a pass at me, it touched me, and I freaked out. I went into a rage. That takes it away from being murder one, because it wasn't premeditated, you see. And in a way, it's a way to blame the victim. I mean, in other words, Mathew Shepard would be alive today if he hadn't taken his hand and put it on the killer's leg and freaked him out. I always find that kind of a funny claim, because how many times would you say, a woman can say, well, the guy put his hand on my leg, so I killed him. Or another woman put her hand on my leg, and therefore I killed it. But it's used a lot of times by men who kill, because there are enough people in the world who will think that if a man makes a pass at another man who is not homosexual, that heterosexual guy will freak out, and therefore he loses control. So the defense actually put this forth because he was trying to get it from murder one to murder two, you see. So the funny thing is the defense brought up the motive of he was killed because he was gay, not the prosecution, which is kind of interesting. And then they took off with that. Now, McKinney's girlfriend told police he had been motivated by anti-gay sentiment, but later recanted her statement, saying she had lied because she thought it would help him. So she was trying to save her boyfriend. So she said, yeah, my boyfriend doesn't like gay guys. And so she put that out there. So anyway, they both got consecutive life sentences. Later on, what is interesting is, and this is what I think you're bringing up here, let me read the more detailed version, or a little bit more of the detailed version. So what it says is actually this, that, all right, what happened on that day? Now, they're talking about the killers are messed up drug users, okay? And also, however, Mathew Shepard was not exactly on a good road either. He had troubles of his own. His mother says her son's problem started 3 years early on a trip to Morocco where he was beaten and raped. That's what his mother says. It made him pull within himself. He became withdrawn, had depression and panic attacks. Now, they said that he also, because of that, was involved in drugs. And some say that he knew these guys already. Okay. Now, the guys will claim they didn't know Mathew prior, but because he was dressed nicely, they thought he had some money. That's the claim. But again, who knows what actually happened? So it said, McKinney said that he set out to rob a drug dealer of $10,000 worth of methamphetamine. But after several attempts, he wasn't able to carry out his plan. So then he said, then he encountered Shepard at a park. At a lounge. He said he was well-dressed and assumed he had cash. Shepard was sitting at the bar, McKinney recalls. He said he was too drunk to go home. And then he asked me if I'd give him a ride. So I said, sure, what the hell? So then he claims he gave him a ride and he put his hand on his leg while he was giving the ride and that he hit him with his pistol. And he said, well, I was going to get ready to pull it on him anyway. So was it the hand on his leg or just he was going to knock him over the head? Anyhow, you see. So then he says, why did he continue beating Shepard? Okay, after he took his wallet, why did he continue beating him? He goes, well, sometimes when you have that kind of rage going on, there's no stopping it. I've attacked my best friends coming off of meth binges. So basically, he's not saying, he's basically saying he's messed up on meth, essentially. And then after they did this to Shepard, then they got back in the truck, went to town. They were going to burglarize Shepard's apartment. But when they parked the truck, they encountered two young men who police say were vandalizing cars. Hostile words led to a fight, and for the second time that night, he went on the attack. So anyway, one of the men was struck so hard his skull was fractured. And then that guy, the friend, retaliated and hit McKinney, and then the police showed up. So you see a whole lot of very violent people, a lot of drugs, a lot of bad behavior. So unfortunately for Mathew Shepard, he ended up being the victim. But it's really hard to say what actually was the motive in all of this mess. It's hard to say. And I don't know. I don't know whether McKinney's lying or telling the truth. McKinney's changed his story. Now, what could also be true, I want to bring this up, is that your basic intention might not be, for example, McKinney might not have chosen him because he was gay. He might just wanted a victim and he was available. But then again, if he was gay also, maybe he'd be more violent. One doesn't know. So we can have sometimes that issue with all kinds of crimes where the victim is somebody you would have victimized somebody anyway, but hey, that's the kind of person you really don't like, whether it be racial or whether it be what sex they are, or whether it be their behavior, or whether they're rich or poor, or they're homeless and you think they're disgusting, whatever. In the mind of a psychopath, anything that justifies a crime and anything that gets their goat, they might do. But how do you actually pinpoint the motive? Well, you don't actually pinpoint the motive. And it's really hard to do. So when we go back to the Idaho case, Bryan Kohberger, was he an incel who wanted to just get back at women? Was he a mass murderer who just wanted to do the biggest, scariest, most noticed murder of the year or decade? Or number 3, was he a criminology student who wanted to see if he could pull off the perfect crime? Or was it all 3? And will we ever know? Will he ever tell us? And if he does, do you believe him? Or does a defense attorney get together with him and go, hey, dude, don't go down that road. Don't say that. That'll make it look really bad. Why don't you say something else? Yeah, And so the defense attorney is going to help him, believe you me, prepare a story for his motive, which may not have anything to do with his actual motive. So just be cautious of motive. I think that's something really to learn when you're studying criminology and if you're a detective working on cases. Sometimes the motive is something sort of clear, but a lot of times it isn't. And don't get caught up in it. And if you're on a jury, don't get caught up there either. So that was my commentary on motive that I just wanted to talk about today. Let me see what your comments are on motive. Michaela says the gay panic defense. Yeah, that it seems to have had. Let me say this: it's been of use. Shall we say that it's been of use? Oh, that's interesting. Allison says, I read in some book that after being arrested for shooting JFK, Lee Harvey Oswald said, everyone will know me now. Yeah. Now, so the question is, was his entire motive to be that guy? Was that it? I mean, in that case, it's like a mass murder, except that, look who you murdered, so you didn't need to kill 100 people. You just need to kill that one person. So it's basically the same thing as a mass murder. Now, no one will ever forget my name. And it is absolutely true. Now, does that mean that he's the only one involved? Some people, you go on about how could he have been selected? Could he have been recruited? Possibly. His motive might be the same. I'll still be the one known, but there might be somebody else behind it or some organization behind it. And that's when I talk about the terrorist type self type of thing. Just because a person does something on their own, it doesn't mean they're a terrorist, but they could be working for a terrorist group. So, you got to analyze these things in the purpose of preventing future crimes and also for the purpose of getting all the people, if there's more than one person involved. You want to do that. You want to get them off the street. Oh, really? That's interesting. They have repealed this excuse in Queensland recently. Well, it's a pretty crappy excuse. You know what I mean? I mean, the whole point is, unless you're being, okay, even for females who are being bothered by a male, you can be bothered by a male. And these days they jump to say it's sexual assault. So the guy goes, he leans in and kisses you. And oh my God, I was sexually assaulted. No, you weren't. You might have been annoyed. You might have not appreciated it. You might have maybe want to slap him in the face if he was really being inappropriate. But you weren't in fear of being truly violently assaulted and having something done to you, which was extremely egregious. So you can't kill over somebody. If I'm walking down the street and somebody grabs my boob, let's say grab, let's say just touches me as he's walking by, one of those creepy dudes, he's walking by and he goes, brushes you. Can I turn around and shoot him? Was my life in danger? Or was I just disgusted? And do I want that guy to be arrested for touching me? Yes, I do want the guy to be arrested. I'd like to punch him in the face. That might be acceptable. Shooting him is probably not acceptable because my life is not in danger. So even in those cases, you have to, the only reason you ever can kill somebody is in self-defense. And if that self-defense isn't there, being annoyed, being appalled, being humiliated, if it isn't, that is not acceptable for self-defense as far as killing people goes. So, yeah. You can go with that. You can go with something lesser, but you can't kill over it. These days people do, and they might get away with it, but that, again, the standard is you have to believe when you pull it, like when I took gun training, the rule was this. First of all, you never point a gun at anything you're not willing to kill. Secondly, the only reason you ever pull the trigger, ever, is because you believe if you do not pull that trigger at that moment, that you will be dead in the exact next moment. It has to be that serious. Otherwise, you can't just pull because you're in a bad mood, you think the guy's a jerk, or he offended you. You can't do that. It has to be because you honestly believe. Then the next second, you'll be dead. And when you do pull that trigger, the other thought going through your head, which I always tell you, is that you'd rather be, judged by a jury of 12 than carried by, carried by a group of 6? I forgot how it works. Yeah, you'd rather go to court because otherwise you think you are going to be dead. And if you think you're going to be dead, you're going to take a chance in court. So it has to be that way. So because a guy puts his hand on your leg, male or female, female or female, male or male, I don't care. That's not reason to kill somebody. And that's a pretty crappy excuse. Yes, this is true. The action has to fit the severity of the crime. Very true. Oh, going back, Tikkun says, he was maybe so nervous, talking about the Idaho suspect, he was maybe so nervous, the Idaho suspect, it makes him do those mistakes. Well, I have to say it's even more than that. What happens? I believe this is his first crime. I believe it's his first crime. I could be wrong, but I believe it's his first. I think he planned so hard, thought so long, thought he could cover all the different issues. He overdid it. And when he committed the crime, what happens is reality strikes. That's what happens. Like when people lie, you always say, be careful. If you lie, a lot of times you end up having to lie again and again and again, adding more to your story because you didn't realize when you lied that you didn't cover some aspect of something. So if somebody comes home and says, oh, I'm late because there was traffic. And they say, well, what road were you on? The road going home. Oh, really? Because I was watching the news. I didn't see anything about an accident or any traffic particularly. As a matter of fact, I was on that road with my GPS. Oh, well, I actually might not have been that road. I forgot. I veered off there. And then you can't deal with it because the story's not good. So sometimes when you plan a crime, you don't take into account all the little things that can go wrong. Because I don't know what Kohberger expected when he went there. I didn't know if he expected everybody's going to be absolutely asleep. And he was going to go and do 4 great stabs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was going to be done. Maybe he was only after 2 girls. Maybe it was just 2. He's just going to go up. He's going to sneak upstairs, stab, and it was going to be over and he's going to sneak out. Maybe that was his plan. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to kill 4. Maybe he wanted to kill 6. I don't know what he was after. But maybe it didn't go well. Maybe they weren't as asleep as he thought. Maybe they screamed. Maybe they fought. Maybe somebody woke up and came out. Who knows? So it just may not have gone as he planned. Wasn't so easy. And he started realizing he made mistake after mistake after mistake, which he did. He really screwed it up, which is good because at least he can put the guy away. I think it was pretty pitiful, actually. And I hope, if nothing else, when he's in court, they embarrass the hell out of him by making him look so stupid for all the mistakes he made. That, look, you're a PhD guy, you study criminology, you couldn't even pull off a crime like this. We caught you in 6 weeks. That's how bad you were. That's what I hope they say. You think so? I think in Idaho, the defense attorney will advise him to plead guilty. I don't know. I guess it depends how much money that. Okay, because there's a lot of questions here. Let's look at these questions. One, does Kohberger want? He's got 1 day in the sun, but does he want 2? And that could be the trial, because that trial is going to be complicated and long, and he might love the attention he's going to get through the whole trial. He might not want to give that up. 2, the defense attorney might not want to give that up either, because guess who else is getting a lot of attention on a long trial? Mr. Defense Attorney, who gets all the publicity. So, or she, I think it's a woman now, right? She's going to get all the publicity. 3, I don't know what she's getting paid. The longer it is, the more you get paid. I think that, but between Kohberger and the defense attorney, there's 2 people who have a reason not to have him plead guilty. That's my theory on that. And cut a deal. What is a real? Okay, the only deal they could cut would be they take death penalty off the table. That is true. That's true. And this, if nothing more, this deserves a death penalty. And they've got the evidence to give him the death penalty. The only reason they would take it off the table that I can think of is that, and this is what happens sometimes, is that they say that we'll spare the families the agony of having this long drawn out trial. We'll spare them that by just taking the death penalty off the table and having him make the deal for life in prison. What bothers me about that is if life in prison meant we would never hear from this piece of crap again, that he was off on an island someplace and he would have no contact with the public and he wouldn't get the Netflix thing done and he wouldn't get a book deal and he wouldn't have women writing him, he wouldn't get married in prison, I'd be okay with that. But I don't think that's true. I think he deserves a death penalty. But yeah, that could be one reason they take it off the table. They take the death penalty to spare the families. If all 4 families say we don't want to go through the trial, just let them have life. If there's somebody in there who actually doesn't believe in the death penalty of the families, Bryan Kohberger believes in the death penalty, doesn't he? He believes in it so much that he killed 4 people without a trial, without a jury finding them guilty of anything, didn't give them any appeals, for death penalties. Kohberger believes in it. And I believe anybody who believes in that death penalty like that should get the death penalty. Yeah. Really? I did not see the hearing, Molly. Acted like an eager student. Oh, how lovely. This is true, Andini. They don't accept the insanity defense, but they do accept that you can have mental issue. You can have psychological issues. They do accept that as diminishing your ability to not right or wrong, but diminishing your ability to decide, choose to what you should do and what you shouldn't do, what it would make you do, what your need for attention, like your severe need, narcissism need attention, and therefore you went for the attention. They can play around with that, even though they don't have the insanity defense. No motion at all. Well, he's a wonderful fellow. Yeah. Anyway, I want to move on. I want to move on from him because he gets on my nerves. But and I don't like to talk about it too much because I want to mostly talk about evidence and I don't want to get into let's spend all our time trying to figure out what kind of guy this creep is. It's not really worth doing. I do want to talk about the Anna Walsh crime. Speaking of people who really screw up badly, I mean, if some crimes are easy to solve. Here's this couple. This one, her name is Anna Walsh, and the husband's name is hold on a second, Bryan Walsh. Okay, so what happened was Anna Walsh disappeared supposedly on the way to work. That's what Bryan said. And then here's a guy. First of all, he's already a crook. He's tried to sell paintings that weren't even actually, they were fakes. And his wife knew it, and she supported him anyway and said, "Oh, he's really a great guy, though he's just got a few little problems." Yeah, he killed you, which is really a shame. They didn't figure that out. She had 3 children, and now they don't have a mom. Anyway, they're investigating his crime because she went missing, and he made up some stories. But oh my God, the stories are so bad. I just have to read it to you because it's kind of hysterical. So they were combing through trash. They're looking for evidence, right? And he's been held on a charge of misleading the police because he said he was 2 different locations that he actually wasn't at, which they figured out really quickly. And they found traces of blood in the basement. They found a bloody knife in the basement. It's like, why do you have the knife still in the basement? I mean, really? And then they went on his internet searches. I talk about this all the time. Well, usually the guy's internet searches show that he's looking for ways to kill the wife. And then by the time he gets around to doing it, he forgets about his internet searches. This guy's even stupider than that. After he killed her, apparently, he goes, well, maybe it was before, but they found internet records where there were searches for how to dismember a body and get rid of a 115-pound lady or whatever she was. It's like, really? That's what you put on there? So how to dispose of a 115-pound woman's body. You literally put in the whole thing. I mean, So what have they got on this guy? I do not think they have her body yet. They've got his lies to the police about where he was and what he was doing. Oh, and he was supposed to be going to where did they say he was going? Let's see. Let me find the one where he says where he's going. Oh, okay, here he is. So he's supposed to be going to. He's not supposed to leave the house because he's got an ankle bracelet on it unless he's taking his kids to school. So that's the only place he's allowed to go. But he took these unapproved trips. You see, he went to Home Depot. He was seen on surveillance video wearing a surgical mask and surgical gloves and making a cash purchase. What did he get? For $450, he bought cleaning supplies, mops, a bucket, and tarps. Really? Okay. I think he's going down. Why did he kill her? They were having supposed marital problems, in spite of the fact she stuck up for him and said she was standing behind her man. He's really a great guy. Apparently, he wasn't so great. And they're not very bright either. I mean, I think this case will not have a problem being, he's going to be found guilty. That's for sure, because they have so much. I don't know if they have a body yet, but I don't think they have a body yet, but they got everything else. So I'm pretty sure he's going down. But just amazing how stupid. I mean, really, that's stupid. If you're leaving the house to get materials to clean up the area, you think you get rid of the knife while you're out there, But he doesn't seem to be very bright. This. Allison says maybe he feels guilty for not doing his share of the housework. That could be it, right? That's a good motive right there. I felt guilty. Let's see. What a douche. I wonder why is she even with him if he's abetting way out of her. I'm not sure what you're actually saying, but I want to point out again, when you have somebody in your life, I have a good example of this. I have a good example. It was a Dear Abby. Oh yeah, Amy. Here's Amy. Dear Amy. All right. A couple I know has been married for decades. I'm going to say the couple she knows is herself and her husband. 7 years ago, the husband had an affair. The wife found out about it when the other woman contacted her to complain about her husband stalking her. The husband swore it was over and would never happen again. Okay, so already hubby is cheating on you, and he's cheating on you in such a way that the actual mistress has to call you up to tell you, to get your husband to stop, because he's basically breaking the law by stalking her. There's a creepy dude. He's a liar and a creep. So he swore it was over and wouldn't do it again. So the wife stays. A few years later, the wife discovered intimate, affectionate text messages between the husband and the other woman. Oh, wait a minute. I guess the stalking's over. But they're having affectionate and intimate text messages. She also learned about clandestine dinners they shared. After saying yet again that the affair was over, the husband claimed it wasn't cheating because there was no sex involved. Well, first of all, I'm going to say the husband's lying like a dog. Of course there was sex involved. Get out of here, All right, but let's say there wasn't sex involved. He promised that if the other woman ever attempted to contact him again, he would do two things: not engage in any way with the other woman and immediately inform the wife. Fast forward 2 years. Come on, lady. I'm sorry. Wait, at what point do you realize your husband is a creep? Fast forward 2 years, and the wife learned that the other woman contacted her husband. The husband proceeded to engage the woman in brief conversation and did not inform the wife. The husband thinks this incident is no big deal. He explained that he didn't hang up on the other woman because he didn't want to be rude, because he was rude to his wife and lied to his wife. But hey, that's okay. He feels she should trust him. Sorry, I shall cackle. Regarding any future contact with the other woman. The wife thinks that in order to put this behind them and move forward, really, you want to move forward with this guy? I mean, what? The only forward you should do is pack the guy's bags and get them the heck out of your house, or leave him, one of the two. Move forward, that they need to go. The other woman needs to be completely expunged from his life and never return, because, of course, he'd never find another woman to have an affair with, right? She believes he needs to earn her trust back. Okay, it's been 7-some years, and he's been lying and cheating and doing everything wrong for 7 years. Do you think there's any way this guy is ever going to be trustworthy? What's your take? The answer here is this. This is from Amy. Many times over the years, I have recommended that couples seeking to understand and recover from infidelity should read a groundbreaking book called The Recovery Bible. I'm not going to get into all that. The husband in this scenario no doubt believes that he's moving in the right direction. No, he doesn't. He's lying to her. From sexual affair to emotional affair to politeness on the telephone. No, Amy, he's lying to her, period. But what he refuses to acknowledge is that each time he has any contact with the affair partner, this returns his wife to square one, reminds her of the infidelity. So it'll be a tough slog. So, transparency is the way back to intimacy. The guy's never transparent. He keeps lying. Amy, the guy is not someone she should be with. He has a personality disorder. Yeah, and yes, he should refuse all contact with the affair partner. No, Amy. the wife should refuse all contact with that husband ever again. This is a tough slog back to trust. Talking with a couples counselor would help both parties. Oh, okay. And then you know what happens? Your husband kills you. Why? Because you trusted a snake for 7 years. He proved he was a snake over and over again, and you still said, maybe he's not a snake. So, this woman who's been murdered by her husband, she knew he was a crook. I don't know if she was in on it with him, but she knew he was a crook. He committed fraud, and she's still with him. Because if he committed that kind of fraud of selling, he sold some, I forgot which artist it was, but he actually got somehow he got hold of the art, but then he sold some fake art. I can't remember how it worked. He sold it on eBay. And he was nailed for it. I'm going to say that's not his first rodeo. So you married a guy who probably over the years has committed other crimes and other frauds and other lies. But you kept him. And now you're dead. So ladies, don't listen to people like Amy on this. I mean, or men, if you've got a woman in your life, that's the same thing. It doesn't matter who you've got in your life. Whoever your significant other is, if they're that kind of other, make them insignificant really quickly. Oh my God. It's just appalling. And it's funny because I don't think, sometimes I wonder whether people just don't see things for what they really are, that they imagine things that don't exist. And when the things do exist, they unimagine them. I just want to share one other thing with you just because it amused me. This is a Dear Abby one. It's a simple one. This is not any kind of crisis, but I've had this happen to me over and over again. And I'm like, so people, if you're in this situation, just helping you out here. Dear Abby, I'm a widow and I miss my husband very much. We used to go out to dinner together often. I have friends I have dinners with, but sometimes I go out by myself. Every time I do, after I say I'm dining alone, the host or hostess asks, just you? It's like an insult. Just me? Like I need a reminder that I'm alone without a husband. I recently mentioned this to a friend who told me he experienced the same thing when he dines alone. He too considers it insulting. I don't know how many times I've had that happen. You go in and they say, are you alone? And I said, well, unless that guy wants to join me. And they, is it just you? I don't know. Do you know anybody else who would like to spend some time with me? I usually make jokes. Will he pay? Tell him to come over. Yeah, I make jokes because they're actually asking you to know whether they should go ahead and serve you. For God's sakes, if you're alone and it's just you, they want to go ahead and give you the menu and let you order. But if you're waiting for somebody, they're going to say, oh, I'm waiting for someone. Okay, I'll come back later. Or they need to know if they should take away the extra setting. This has nothing to do. This is not an insult, folks. It's a simple question for somebody in a dining who's serving you. And it's funny how people take these things and get all bent out of shape about them and then expect other people to stop it. Stop it. But when things are really serious, like your husband is cheating on you and he lies to you over and over again, you go, should I put up with it? No, you should put up with the server asking you if you're alone. You shouldn't put up with the husband cheating on you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, pat on the prowl. So far, I've had no luck, let me tell you. Nobody's come over, sat down, and paid for my dinner. Darn it. Yeah, it might have worked when I was 20, but it doesn't so much work these days. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. But I just find it interesting how people think. Let me see. I've got one more thing I wanted to talk about. Where is it? Oh, speaking of motives, I want to talk about just one thing we have a real issue with is people on the streets that we're not doing anything about. That the criminals on the streets and people who have mental conditions on the streets who are incredibly, incredibly dangerous. And we need as a society to face up to this fact because it's really doing us in. I don't know how many of you heard of this one. This is one that took place in, I think it was Seattle, Portland, Oregon. In Portland, Oregon, there is a woman. She just stepped out and pushed a 3-year-old into the train tracks. Luckily, the train did not run the 3-year-old over. The 3-year-old had some injuries, but survived. She just stepped forward. There's a video on the internet. She just stepped forward and pushed the little kid right into the train tracks. Now, and this is the creature that did it. Now she's 32 years old, by the way. Yeah, she has had obviously a very rough life. She looks very ancient there. I don't know if she has any teeth. So she's a major drug user. But what's fascinating about this is when we look about this woman who pushed the little 3-year-old into the tracks. Her name is Brianna Workman, convicted felon, faces numerous charges. At least like holding her without bond. Thank God for at least that. Her criminal record: she has several felony convictions. Last one was in 2013 for heroin possession. She also attacked in 2021. Wait a minute. The last felony conviction was in 2013 for heroin possession. However, in June of 2021, Portland police arrested Workman after a man living downtown said he invited her into his room to have breakfast and she slashed him with a knife. According to the probable cause affidavit, Workman said she'd had a mental breakdown and blacked out. I don't know why I hit him. I was trying to kill myself by stabbing him. I guess she was trying to throw herself into the railroad tracks too, but she accidentally pushed a 3-year-old. So anyway, the charges were dismissed a few days later. Yeah. And then what happened? So now she's been arrested again. She doesn't know why she pushed the kid into the tracks. But there you have it. That's that. That's, So we have people on the street committing crime after crime after crime, violent crimes. And she was a homeless person. There are homeless people on the street who are not violent, but we don't know which ones are and which ones are not. And I think that's important to know. And why they're being allowed to run around. This guy, this is police officer, deputy. The article says this: deputy would still be alive if the judge had done her job. Now, this guy, poor guy, he was shot and killed during a traffic stop. You know those traffic stops that people get all bent out of shape about because police officer goes up to the car and he's obviously a little nervous. Well, that's because you can get killed during traffic stops. They're very dangerous. So what happened is, let's see, the person, the man who was killed, wait a minute, sorry. Hold on a second. Deputy Isaiah Cordero. That was this guy's name. That is Deputy Isaiah Cordero. He was the one who was shot by this piece of garbage, the 44-year-old resident called William Shea McKay. Now, what happened? McKay has an extensive violent past and was convicted of his 3rd strike in November of 2021. Remember that 3 strikes you're out type of thing? You go to prison. That case. I'll get what. So 2021. Not only is it 3 strikes, but guess what the case was? Involved kidnapping and assault with a deadly weapon. Instead of sentencing him to 25 years to life, which should have happened, the judge lowered his bail, allowing him to be released. The same judge released McKay again after he was arrested for failing to appear at his sentencing hearing. And then, so what happened was when he went and approached the vehicle, and then he just gets shot to death. Okay, so, they were chasing him actually. Let's see what happened there. There was a pursuit. He has an extensive. They pursue. End up. Hold on a second. Let's see what happened here. After did they shoot him there? It's hard to see where everybody was shot here. Oh, okay. They managed to shoot this guy. That's what they're saying here. After he shot the deputy, then he raced off and they went after him. He shot at the police and they shot him and killed him. Now, listen to all the things he's got though: extensive criminal history, violent past, charges of kidnapping, robbery, multiple assaults, and the stabbing of a California Highway Patrol K-9 in 2021. So this guy is a lifelong felon. He's a violent felon. He's been caught before. He's caught again, and the judge reduces his bail and lets him back out after kidnapping somebody. So we have a problem that we do not understand, that when you have people with personality disorders, psychopathy, severe ones like that, and they're violent criminals for a long period of time, that means they're likely to be violent criminals again. If they have drug problems, they're going to continue to have drug problems. If they're whatever they've got going, it's going to stay that way because they're not really getting help and they're not getting put away. So we just leave them out on the street so they can harm innocent people. What drives me nuts is that we're so nice to that guy, but it's okay if he kills somebody else. We're so nice to that woman, but it's okay if she throws a 3-year-old into the train tracks and has the child run over by a train. We don't want to be mean to her. We'll just be mean to the kid who did nothing wrong. We'll just be mean to the deputy who did nothing wrong except serve the citizens. But we don't want to be mean to the felon. I don't understand this concept. I really don't. We're allowing innocent people to be harmed. We're penalizing the innocent people and not penalizing the guilty ones. And that's my soapbox for tonight. Hey, somebody said I should have a soapbox every time I do this. I don't plan them. I just go into them. Okay, so, yeah, these people are on the streets. There's a lot of them. As a matter of fact, the other day, I was with my granddaughter. I think I maybe sent this the other week, but I was with my granddaughter and we pulled up to this corner and this homeless guy came up and said, I was looking for money. And I just went like this. And he yells at my granddaughter and says, hope you don't turn out like your grandma. Luckily, he didn't try to break my window or anything. And I had my door locked. But yeah, it's sad because innocent people, children, should be able to walk around and not get shot. Or the teacher. How about that teacher? Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention the teacher. I don't know if anybody has missed this story, crazy story, horrifying story. A 6-year-old, yes, you heard me right, a 6-year-old didn't like his teacher. So he brought a gun to school. And he's gotten an argument with that teacher, and he pulled that gun out and he fired it straight at her. Premeditated murder. So, who's responsible for that? First of all, if that child it was the gun the parents had, the parents should be in prison for attempted murder. That's my opinion. Because there's just no way in God's earth they should eat. Oh, well, I just didn't realize my gun was laying around, and my kid's a little psychopathic 6-year-old who wanted to kill his teacher. Where do you even get the idea? Who would ever think of killing their teacher? So those parents I still go, if you have a weapon and your child gets hold of your weapon, which should be either on you or in a safe, if he gets hold of your weapon and takes it someplace and kills somebody, you go down with them. You go down with them. If they're too young to go down, they go into the system and you go to prison. Okay, that's my second soapbox. Okay, I'm going to check your comments and then I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Yes, it was the mom's gun. You're correct, Aunt Deanie. The mom's gun. So what? So she should go to prison. She got the teacher shot. I mean, yeah. I think the parents absolutely. The parents, I agree with you, Michaela. The parents should be charged. Well, the mother now. The mother's gun. She let her little psychopathic 6-year-old take that gun to school and premeditatedly shoot his teacher. And then you wonder, why don't we have any good teachers? Well, actually, we do have good teachers. I don't know why your good teachers are still there. I honestly don't. And I know good teachers have quit too. I read about this every day. Why I wanted to be a teacher all my life. I went into teaching. I only lasted 6 years. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the students' violence. I couldn't take their mouths. I couldn't take the parents' lack of support. So I say, if you're still a teacher and you're out there in this mess, God bless you. I don't know how you do. I really don't. Just do not. Oh, what is this one? Lila, really? A 17-year-old in our small town killed his teacher with a baseball bat. It's just, it's scary. It's really, really, really scary. Oof, scary stuff. And I'm afraid, not only should we be afraid for the teachers, we have to be afraid for the other kids in school. And of course we always look at mass murder as being obvious, that your child goes to school and that psychopath teen shows up and shoots up the school. But you also have to worry about kids in gangs that are on the playground, just one kid stabbing another kid. We have that to worry about too. So when our child goes to school, that child should be in a safe environment that's similar to our home, that we would trust the adults there, and we would trust that the other children coming there have some respect for life. But apparently that seems to be going on the downhill. This is true. I think they are becoming more violent. I really do. And in a way that in a way that it's just a lack of appreciation for human beings. Just the psychopathy rate, I do think, has increased, and with that, the violence rate has increased. And although there are people who say, the violence on TV and violence in video games, it does not have an effect, I do disagree with that. I believe it has a tremendous effect because, and I always point this out, there's a reason that advertisements cost so much for the Super Bowl. Why? Because everybody watches it. They advertise something, and I don't know how much they pay for it, but a huge amount of money because it sells. Because then people go out and buy whatever is advertised. Well, that's because that goes into your brain, and you think, I should do that. You take a small child, isn't even an adult yet, and you put him in front of one show after other, movie after movie after movie, and sometimes I'm appalled. I've gone to movies where I know it's a violent movie, and I'm coming as an adult. I look over and I see a 6-year-old and 8-year-old sitting there. I want to throw up. I'm like, what are they doing here? And I'm now don't want to be in the room because there's these children in there and they shouldn't be watching this stuff. They shouldn't be seeing sex on the screen. They shouldn't be seeing violence on the screen. But they're soaking that up. And at home, because the television stays on and the kids can play with just change the channel. A lot of parents aren't paying any attention. They're just watching one show after the other, violence, 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 and then they're doing the same with the video games. That kind of input cannot be healthy. I don't care what people say. If you're watching Bewitched, which I'm watching with what am I watching with my granddaughter right now? The Ghost of Mrs. Muir. And I like Bewitched. I just started watching Bewitched. A great old show. You watch something sweet and wonderful, and you bring your children up on sweet and wonderful books and sweet and wonderful shows and sweet and wonderful family and friends and a sweet and wonderful school, your chances of having a child with good nature is much higher than when your child gets nothing but negativity in their life and the little time they're a little tot. You just pump that negativity into them, and then they hang out with other negative people who think violence is okay or funny or whatever. And after a while, your kid might survive it, but a lot of kids won't, especially children who have emotional problems, who have a borderline personality disorder thing going on there. And I don't mean borderline personality, but a personality that's on the borderline of narcissism and psychopathy. It's just not healthy. It's like saying it doesn't matter what you feed your kid. Well, some kids, swear to God, you can feed some kids a whole bunch of crap and they won't get fat. But other kids, you feed them that crap, they get huge. So we know the food is unhealthy for both the thin kid and the kid who's getting fatter. We know it's unhealthy, so we shouldn't do it. We know negativity and violence and early sex stuff for kids is unhealthy. Yes, you may have the kid who survives it because he's got enough else going for him, but this other kids don't. And then this kid goes out and kills your kid. So there you go. Anyway, we didn't see that, Michaela. The Brady Bunch, Dad was gay. Mom was having an affair with the oldest boy. We didn't see it on we didn't see anything on the show except a happy family, and that was good. And little things. Oh, you adored Bewitched. Isn't that a wonderful show? I just saw the first one. I never saw the very first, the pilot one, where Darren finds out she's a witch. That's just so cute and funny. Lila says, everything that enters our brains has an effect on it. Yes, it does. Everything, including football, which I will get shot down for saying it's violent, promotes winning at all costs, and encourages the same. There's obviously the problem is we know we can't eliminate everything, and we don't want to have a life that's, has absolutely no challenges in it, and every single thing is, we can't do that, we can't do that. It gets tricky. It really does. I don't play football. I play table tennis and pickleball. But I do know people who love football. I have kids who soccer. Soccer can get a little vicious out there in the soccer field. I think you have to teach good sportsmanship along with it, and I think that can be done. So, very good sportsmanship. That I think is the most important thing that can be taught. And if you lose, you still congratulate the other team. You don't ever cheat. That kind of thing. You never do anything that's wrong. You just play a good game. And yes, sometimes people do and can, you crash together and can get hurt. That's true. But I think you can teach good sportsmanship. So, but we can't eliminate everything. We can just be a lot more sensible about it, for God's sakes. Just a lot more sensible. Oh, I love this show too. The Nanny and the Professor. Oh, I love the Nanny and the Professor. Uh, I do. So many good ones here. Just so. Oh, Molly, no, I haven't seen an iguana yet. I don't know where my iguanas went to. Yeah, I've been here a few days. I've been to the kind of jungly area, but I didn't see any. I've seen parrots. I saw 4 big parrots fly off of the house next door. That was really cool. And I saw a teeny lizard and some stray cats. So far, that's all. But I'm going to have to find out where those stupid iguanas are because I miss my iguanas. I want to see them while I'm here. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. The Great American Family Channel. There we go. You know, we have to make choices, and we have to make choices for our kids. We have to make choices for our community. We have to make choices within our criminal justice system. And if we don't do this, we cannot be perfect, but we can at least do better. I think we just have to do better. Lots of do better. So anyway, that's it for tonight. I apologize for my confusion here, but man, I'll tell you, I've got 4 pillows holding up this thing because I couldn't find any place to put the, when you're in a different room, I'm going to have the rest of my beer. When you're in a room like this, I mean, look, I've got this walls behind me. It's really a very cute Airbnb. It's very, very cute. But you're trying to find a place that the light doesn't glare off and, you don't see the trash can, the unmade bed, or whatever it is. And it's just really hard to set anything up. So I'm going to be back on Monday for the show. Let me tell you the name of the show that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to figure this out by Monday. I really am, because I have to do a green screen for Monday, and that's always trickier. So this one is going to be on Monday. Hold on a second. Is going to be on Lorenzo Cacho. Is that what I'm doing? I think it's Lorenzo Cacho. Okay. Let me be sure. What the heck? Yeah, Lorenzo Cacho. That's what I want. I'm just trying to make sure I have the right name here. Oh, nothing's working here again. Okay, so anyway, this is a little boy who was killed in his home in Puerto Rico many years ago, and it's still an unsolved case. Nobody knows who did it, and it's one of those big mysteries. So since I'm in Puerto Rico, I thought I'd do that case. So since I'm away for the whole weekend, having a great time, I'm going to do it on Monday night. So by then, I should figure out some of these problems, although I really thought I could do it in the living room until all hell broke loose out there. So anyway, Magna, the beer of Puerto Rico. I know they got a lot of craft beers down here now. But yes. So anyway, I appreciate your patience here. And oh, thank you very much, Michaela. I mean, I tell you, what a mess. That's the one I was looking for. It was very difficult. I said, watch this. See how this is my pillows making you sick yet? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, I'm sitting on a little stool here, and yeah. But anyway, I'm glad I got to be here with you guys, and because I miss you guys. I'm gone too long. It just feels weird. But I'm having a great time. I'm having a lot of fun. So no worries. People say, why are you doing this on vacation? I still want to be able to continue work. So anyway, bye everyone, and hope to see you on Monday. I probably will be in the evening. So I can't do the 3:00 show because I might. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. So confusing. So lost my mind tonight. I swear to God. I have the stress. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time for the Lorenzo case. Bye.